Welcome to Crosstalk, where real conversations spark real change. This is your front row seat to the journeys of local entrepreneurs, ministry leaders, artists, and everyday people making a difference right here in our community. Each week, we dive into honest conversations, how dreams got started, the challenges faced, and the vision shaping our future. It's about more than business or titles. It's about passion, purpose, and the heart behind the hustle. So whether you're looking for inspiration, practical advice, or just a reminder that you're not alone on your journey, you're in the right place.
So, I am going to tell you this right here before we start, and I'll do like a little bit of an intro to start it, but I will ask you to freestyle on the spot, just so you know. When we get to that, I will ask you to freestyle. No pressure, but...
I feel like I probably won't, but no beat, no... I'll try to be funny about it, because normally when
I can't beatbox, but...
Because normally when, when people say asking rappers to rap, I'm just like, that's old school. That's old school. Like, yes, we do rap and we can. Like, I can freestyle if I'm in the mood and with the boys.
That's like you got to be in the mood.
Yeah. So when someone asks you to, they're like, "Yo, freestyle real quick." Yes, you can just hop into it, but it's sometimes unnatural. That's like
right.
The analogy I always use is, you're a comedian, tell a joke. It's like, you don't, you know what I mean? Then it's like, well, comedians don't just tell jokes. They are funny people and they know how to do it from like a special or their comedy. But when you tell them on the spot, tell a joke, then it's like, that's not even natural to the art. I mean, freestyling is, but I'm saying that's not natural to what I want to give you. I could give you a pretty crappy freestyle, and then that could not be like a good perspective of what the music is, or someone could give you a crappy joke, and then that's not a good perspective of what their special is like. So I always, like I said, if there was a beat, I probably could get the vibe in, but I feel like acapella, I'd have to throw something that I have in my head, which I could also. Like I still have raps that I made that's actually, I don't know if you've ever talked to a rapper, that's what freestyling is. It's raps you've made so many times, and you still have the bars in your head, and then you just move them around and do things. So like usually when you hear someone freestyling, it's something they've already rhymed before, but not in that way. So like you're able to take it from old songs. When you see something, when people like rapping about what they're looking at, same thing. It's taking what you've used before and just rhyming it. So it's not necessarily hard. It's kind of fire. That is the authentic part about it. But
I love that.
I feel like nowadays, just because so many people's music is, I should say, part of like the production as well, then it doesn't tell too much about the artist. Like our generation, we still we're rapping and such, but like I feel like now if you went up to like the 15, 16-year-olds and told them to freestyle their songs in hip hop, I'm saying, and their songs, there are some that have like lyrical stuff, but most of them is more about a feeling, not the lyrics.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. But I'm gonna crop like the beginning part of that out, but I'm gonna keep that section.
Yeah, no, that's good. You can ask anything the whole time and use whatever. I'll have more rap stories, more. If you want any rap stories, I can let them go too.
I think it'd be really cool of the dynamic of like, rapper turned, financial guy, New York life agent. Like, I think that's awesome, man. So. Everybody, today I have the privilege of sitting down with Caleb Gaither, as I know him as KB.
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
So we went to high school together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Our paths didn't necessarily cross too much with everything.
But same.
We shared a locker room.
I was gonna say.
Wrestling and basketball.
Yep. Same shared locker room. Same because of that. Same friends then, around. So that's kind of how it intertwines. You can go to the same high school and never talk to the people, never see them. We at least did cross paths, talk, and have that. So
Yeah.
I always appreciate that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, yeah, it's there's actually a funny story I want to share with you after the pod because it's definitely not pod worthy. But I thought about this the other day and I was like, I was salty about this thing at the time, but now like I can look back on it and I think it's so funny. And when I share it with you, you're probably not even gonna recognize the full thing. But when I share it with you, you'll probably know it. You know exactly what I mean. And
I have some good memories. So I'll probably be
Yeah.
able to think of the least the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I knew you in high school, we're gonna kind of just get started right with it.
Yeah.
So you were, I would say, very creatively inclined. Like you started a rap group in high school that was known as Trip Squad, with a few of the guys that you were talking about, our mutual connections. Some of them were in the group with you. We'll name drop them here. I don't know if you're still connected with them or not, but like I know Bickley was, D Mills.
Yep.
Was Delucia?
We still talk to all of them. All of them are still good homies of mine.
Matt James, was he a part of that too?
That's actually we actually had two. So like there was Trip Squad and then there was Wolfpack. And Wolfpack and Trip Squad kind of were the subgroups and came together always with each other doing things. And Frank Jared Bickley was in Trip Squad and also in Wolfpack, and D Mills was his manager, so kind of helped with shows, features, like getting him connected with people and stuff. And we also were in the same crew together, so kind of all of that. Do music with each other, do shows together. We all were just creative with each other, so that's kind of how that was together. Because Trip Squad was with Wolfpack. It's ironic you mentioned them. They created Wolfpack while we still had Trip Squad, and then we kind of like were just like, yo, two groups, and then we're like, yeah, we do our own thing, but we still worked with each other all the time.
Nice.
So that was always cool. So yeah, that's where the mutual friend group, because those were also the wrestler friends. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many stories with those guys, man. I can't even begin to say.
I can imagine.
Oh my. So you graduated 2016, right?
2015, yeah.
2015. Okay, so you would have actually. This episode will be dropping soon, but Jamin Levan, I connected with him. He was on the pod. Not so
nice.
His episode will be dropping and stuff.
Same class and everything.
Same class as you, which is really cool. I love the fact of what I'm able to do now, which is like this has created the opportunity for like, had I not be doing this, like you and I wouldn't have been
having this conversation.
Right. And then also like Jamin, that gave the opening for that. Like I just love seeing now, and then it's like cool being able to talk to people that like went to high school together, and now it's like you're an adult, you're doing big things, that's the best part. Like you're excelling in your post high school career, life, and everything. So talk to me what it looked like for you, you know, coming through. You know what? I'm not going to play the racial card fully, but like I will say, like Hamburg is not as diverse of an area. Yeah. You know, and coming to Hamburg, graduating school from here, being a part of, you know, bringing, you know, all the that rap culture, hip hop culture, and doing that in a rural, more conservative style old PA Dutchy town. Like what were some of those things, if you can think back on it, like that, like what were there challenges, was the town accepting, what did that look like for high school Caleb?
It's funny, I can go back to it. I think about it now being an adult, it's actually now been 10 years since even being in high school. So it's like, it's crazy how time flies like that. But
that just means that's 10 years coming up for me too. Like, oh my gosh.
So like, it's now been 10 years since being in high school. And I remember then how much like I cared, how much like I felt like the town was not about this, but I knew that the message that we were telling people with Trip Squad, even though it kind of, we were shock jock values. So like now people know what shock jock stuff is, trolling. You make people mad, they pay attention to you. So like we had Trip Squad, you're like, what Trip Squad? And you're like, you question it and you think that it could be bad, but then you look at it and what they're talking about and what we were talking about, and it was like peaceful, positive energy, meditate, love yourself, love your friends, learn to grow your mind, knowledge is power, all these types of things. Believe in yourself. And that was our music. And so even though we were having like a positive message, still, since it was hip hop and different, like you said, conservative here, it wasn't taken in a great light. It's funny you say it like in the way what challenges. People that do know about Trip Squad, if you were even around then you might even remember, like, we were making clothes, we were like getting CDs out. Our CDs got banned from school. People wearing the hoodies were like getting in trouble. Like, it was crazy to think about because it was not that big, but like it was, I guess, creating an impact because people in the school were wearing the clothes, people were listening to the music. I was performing the music like in our talent shows. So like the whole school, the teachers were seeing it and like not being able to deny that this kid cares. And the music, I mean, the how should I say, the message in the music was undeniable. The ones, at least, especially in school. So like the school talent shows and such were always targeted for our age demographic, no swearing, good positive message. We'd bring in people from the school to like sing on it too. So like it was always just very creative, innovative, and it was just me telling people to be themselves, believe in themselves, and that you are in control of your life, your emotions, and if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. And I've always taken that and applied it to myself, even to being in my financial services industry now, because even outside of after high school, I continued music and such, made some pretty good moves. Like we can get into it in side parts more if you want, like me collabing with like Pro Era, XXTENTACION, Juice WRLD. Like I have videos of Juice WRLD's last moments on Earth on my phone. And it's like crazy to think that I was a part of that generation of things.
Now hold on, wait a minute, because I was a huge X fan. Okay, you collabed with him.
That's how. Yeah, maybe didn't know, but like Shinobi Way, that's probably my hit song after in music. Got millions of views on Spotify. Took off on like Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, everything. That was the SoundCloud era, right before Spotify. But then Spotify it still worked. But that song, the reason why Shinobi Way took off was because I had reached out to XXTENTACION's blog page and I was talking to him in the DMs on Twitter. So I had showed him that I just put out Shinobi Way. He was like, this is fire. I was like, yo, can I get a share? Got a share. And then I was like, yo, you see this is popping off. Would you want to collab? As well as with that collab, I already had a beat from Ronnie J, the producer, which was making all the beats then. I had already talked to Ski Mask too. So I was saying, yo, X, I just talked to Ski Mask and I have Ronnie J with the beat right here. Do you want to do this collab? He was like, yeah. And then, I'm sorry, let me go back. I was like, do you want to do this collab? Yeah. He was like, yeah, brother, I'm down for that. And I was like, actually, this collab's even better. It's a Ronnie J beat and Ski Mask said he's about it too. And he's like, oh, he's like, dope, brother. He's like, I got you, let's do this. He's like, actually, music, talking business, drop the price so much. Everything was like of the love. You know what I mean? Like if I told you how much this costs now, you would be like, why? I can, because obviously X is worth millions of dollars. When I tell you that this feature was hundreds, thousands, then you're like, wow, you would have got so much bang for your buck. Talk to X, since he had some things going on in the public of some publicity and such. He had to do some time. When he did that time, I lost connection with talking to him. Still had the DMs and such, but that whole time he was locked up is then when he blew up. And then I was still able to talk to him, but lost too much connection to still get that feature because now he's number one. But like we still had the connection. He shared Shinobi Way. I still even have the moments of him and I talking, bonding. I'm a guy from over here, Philly, and then living in Hamburg. He was in Broward County, Florida, and because of the power of the internet, we're able to connect and be able to like share that energy just because we're in the same timeline at the same time, having the same type of ideas. So it's cool to even be a part of that.
That is really cool. I'm going to say something that's going to be extremely controversial, and I'm going to wait for your take. So in the timeline, like how much before Drake got him popped did this happen?
Obviously, conspiracies and everything, you know what I'm saying? I'm not on that side of it. I do think that it does for sure look funny with that Drake stuff. I do think no one wants to believe things, but I do think wrong place, wrong time happens. Yeah. And no one wants to accept even the people that went to jail for his thing.
I'm not saying I believe that.
No, I know. But
I love. We've had this conversation. Whenever I see low hanging fruit, so you got to run with
it.
So I wanted to see what your reaction to that was.
I do when you.
But
he literally in the Drake song XXX, he literally said straight to the. He's gonna.
Yeah. Was it Kendrick that came out afterwards and like kind of like low key really called out Drake for that too?
I think lots of people did because Drake always is.
He's
always flexing his muscles, and then he doesn't get in trouble for it or anything. So then it's like, is he doing these types of things? Probably. I do. I'm from that era, so when Drake put out his song, I was like, you completely stole that from X because I heard X have that style and flow first, and I do think Drake stole, I believe it's Free Smoke, I believe, right? That's the song. That's when he stole X's flow. X was already popping with Look at Me, took off some more, and he already was popping. But I can even tell you that day that it's funny, I can tell you where I was when X passed away, when I read it. Like that's like our generation's Michael Jackson. It was like when we heard it's crazy to even say that.
It's so true. And like what stinks was like I only got introduced to X. It couldn't have been more than 2 months before. And like I was like, yo, this guy is really good. Like I'm listening to him, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And then of course, like every other person, then I'm like nonstop on repeat, listen to all of his stuff.
You see how great it really was. Yeah,
and you're like, man. No, but that's really cool that you had.
Long live Jose, great artist. Changed so many people's lives, did so much. Shouldn't say wouldn't be where I was, but helped send me in the trajectory of believing in myself. So even someone, I always say that to people, and you don't know how many souls you can touch.
Absolutely.
I say I haven't done anything. But obviously not everyone has 1 million views on Spotify or gets to make these moves or connections with artists. So I do know there's something special about that. But I tried to humble myself and know that it's not much. But even with that little I've done, I've had people tell me I've changed their life. I made them start to care more or meditate or control their breathing or be more faithful or positive. So many things, even other states, countries. Yeah. It's cool even more in the time then, like being recognized when I'm out and people be like, you're from Shinobi Way. Like you don't realize how much, like I said, how many souls you can touch, especially with art. This is a podcast. This is creative art. You do not know who sees it and and if they needed that right then and there. So I'm always about art and people not realizing that you really can change a lot of souls. And you don't realize how much you can change in your life, even when you don't think you do. So,
No, that's great. I mean, I think I'm gonna ask you this question. We'll tie in because you have a faith.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool when you get to see how God comes in and will put people in our lives in the seasons that we need it the most and takes us farther than we thought was possible, even if it's just for a season, even if it's like you said, it was just he just shared it and you had things in the tank, but that never went through. But like that one little thing about that connection that you were able to make is what took you from, you know, whatever level you were at to that next level.
Yeah.
And even probably the next level after that and the next level. It just took off. And it's so amazing when you can like sit back now in your position and you can look back and you be like, man, like it was that. And X at that time probably didn't know what the impact he had on everybody was. And you don't know the impact, like you just said, like on
people that to this day, I still have the notifications. I can see when someone likes the song, shares it, or it's like the comment, we're old now. So it's like that song, people are like, I was listening to this every day when I was a teenager. Now I'm 26 and it's crazy to think about like that. You don't realize, like I said, what souls you're touching. I didn't know I was part of this 15-year-old's everyday playlist, but he was listening to me. And I shouldn't say just that one, because I know it's so many, like all the time. You do not realize, like I said, what souls you're touching.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. And it's also really cool when you do get, and I think what's really cool is we're never gonna know.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to really take your social media game up. And one thing that I will say just from like this year and a half of experience that I've been like full in on the social media game is I don't know the impact that I'm going to have, right? I've seen small little things of like some people might comment, some people, if they run into me on the street, they might be like, oh my gosh, like I saw your post, I love that story, or whatever the case is. And I get those small little glimpses, but all that does for me is I'm like, okay, so God is doing that right now just to, as a testament of like, continue down this path. Like you're on the right road. What I can't wait for is when I get to those pearly gates and I'm up there and we're all celebrating in heaven, and those people that you never met a day in your life come up to you and they say to you, it is because of that and what God did through you and you being a good steward and you doing that I was able to blank. And those are the stories that I can't wait for, because I know God's holding those ones. He's holding those ones because he knows that it's going to be even better in all the full glory.
Yeah.
But it's like when I get those little tastes of everything, I'm like, my head just immediately goes to what's to come down the road, because I can't even begin to fathom what that would look like.
Yeah.
Has that like hit you too? Like, because that's just like the social media side for me, but like you've been writing music for ages now. Yeah. So on that side, like, has that like hit you before too, when you're like,
no,
think about that?
It has, and it does. Like what you said is something that I've for sure thought about before, and I can always even relate it to like other people's music, my music, because I've like put it in my music before. I've put it in. I've heard it in other people's music, even like in serious and joking ways. So like I love that people do think about it in that way. And even I have a song called Think You Know, and like I have all my, I'll give a little quick on my music. My music it was trap, grunge, rap. So it would be dark, but the darkness was supposed to be there for you to see the light. So a lot of my songs had an excerpt in the beginning, an intro in the beginning, and then an excerpt at the end to kind of help you understand the message of the song. And you can see that. You might not have realized it's in Shinobi Way. It says at the end, it plays Tekashi's friends are the ones that are always going to be there for you. And if you do not believe in your friends, they're going to be the ones that are there for you. Because Kakashi, if you've heard, it's the scum. So if you're treated like scum, those are not your friends. And your friends, and if the people who, sorry, I'm butchering this.
Oh, you're good.
Those who don't treat their friends well are worse than scum. So in Shinobi Way, it's him telling you you need to find your way and find out what your purpose is. That's actually the whole meaning of Shinobi Way. The chorus is, what is the Shinobi Way? What is your Shinobi Way? Everyone's purpose is to find out what their way of life is. And everyone has their own Shinobi Way. What is the Shinobi Way? It was pretty easy. Like, that's why I always would make it simple, but very deep so that you could understand the message. Someone who simplicity can understand it, someone who's thinking very deep who can understand it, someone who knows anime can understand it, someone who knows nothing about anime can understand it. I always tried to make it digestible, and from music and having kind of, like I said, those messages, I've always tried to at least, how should I say, pull it full circle of using faith, using spirituality. And in that Think You Know song, the excerpt is, you do not know what, nobody knows if they lived the life they wanted until Judgment Day, when they pass away. So the last seconds, they say, your life flashes before your eyes. Those last seconds of your life can feel like a lifetime because of it's your last seconds here. But in those moments, every person is thinking, was my time here worth it? Did I do what I wanted to do? Am I happy with it? And those will be, are my loved ones cared about still after I'm here? These will be the things you think about. And that's when people say these materialistic things don't matter, because at that time, all you care about is those 4 questions. Like, what you did, was that important? And in that excerpt at the end of the song, it says that until that Judgment Day, you will not know if what your life was meaningful, meant something to you, or if you had impact, or if you cared enough. And to go off what you said, I always thought that your life is the journey and you're supposed to accept it, go through it. It's the present, so it's the gift. That's also another philosophy I have. You live in the present because life is a gift. You got to be here. God put you in this body as a gift for you to live here and be able to experience all these things of life. The afterlife is our eternity, which is when you have all the answers, you're able to feel everything, love everyone, see the people who you always wanted to see, and everyone be there in the afterlife. And I say the judgment before that because everything we do here is important for just here. Later is when, like you said, thinking about all those souls you touch, you get to see, because you're not here anymore. Not to be too spiritual about it, but you can then know what souls you touched. You won't know that until death. So I know people get scared of death and things like that. It's part of life. The one thing that you can guarantee will happen to all of us, we will be born and we will die.
And pay taxes, don't forget that one.
Yep, and especially here in America.
Yeah, that's right.
We all got to pay taxes. Y'all know I will talk about that to the day. No, everyone wants to avoid it, but we got to do that here in America. If you can get around it, there are some ways you could. You know, Puerto Rico, you know, other countries, that there are ways to get around it. You kind of just have to be taught. But in America, we all paying taxes. So we are going to be born, we don't pay taxes, and we're going to die. So things just to accept are ways of life. But based off what you said, you will touch many souls, and in the afterlife, that's when you can get to I shouldn't say appreciate, get to see what you did. So that's even why God tells us to be like him, follow in his footsteps, and then when we are godlike to others, then we are giving what we all have, the Holy Spirit in us, and we are supposed to be giving it to other people because we all are his children. When we are then in the afterlife, we can experience what souls we did touch, who we helped. Everyone's all there. But until then, you won't know who you helped. So I say that of the part of enjoy life, be here and love the present, but death is also something to look forward to. I know that sounds crazy.
Tell me you're a Christian without telling me you're a Christian. Right?
I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But that is part of life and is something I promise you. They say that can be the greatest feeling. Like, I mean, I know feeling what you're dead, but they say you have all the answers. You're with your God. You are with, you don't, there are no problems. There are no worries there. Yeah. I know people, once again, being spiritual and religious about it, but here we have pain. Here we have sorrows. Here we have burdens. We choose to be here because experiencing those things make us alive. Mm-hmm. Afterlife, we have the eternity where that's not there. Everything is amazing and great. Here we have problems, but problems create trials and tribulation, which is why you have life. Swank King KB, that's me. My biggest philosophy of then and in all my music was life sucks, so you have to make living great. And that's because everyone says, life sucks, life's hard, life sucks. Yes, it does, but you have to make the living part good. Yeah. There's always going to be bad times about it, but if you can say that you're living great, you're appreciating the moments that you have, that's when you will feel happiness, when you're appreciating your life. So I know long-winded philosophy talks, but if it helps, like I said, life sucks. So you got to make living great.
What does that look like in practice for you? Because it sounds like this is something that you have truly internalized and you do practice. Because to have that, to have that outlook, that mindset, what are some things that you do to help yourself appreciate the moments, appreciate those trials, and having that gratitude?
It's for sure a personality trait, that creativity, that ambitious personality that I've always had probably goes in with that, but also just the things that have made me how I am. What people do you know go reach out to X when they're a senior in high school and trying to collab and have the ambition to like do things. I am an outside of the box thinker. I am aware of that, not in a conceited way, in a humble way, actually. But I do know that the things that have made me that way are sports. If you know sports, if you want mentally, emotionally, if you want to teach your kids about hard work ethic and how to see if I put this much out, I will get this in return. Sports. It is the easiest way to see that. If your kid is not about it, they'll let you know that. But that will be the easiest way without having to use psychology, philosophy, all this stuff to teach your kid the energy they put in, they will get back. And so I grew up being athletic in sports, all those types of things, as well as I will always relate this to, because this is my biggest sport, is being a skateboarder. I will always say, and you can relate with it, I will always say skating and extreme sports is the hardest sport in the world, but the only sport harder than it. And if you don't do both, then you won't be able to really relate. But the only sport harder than I believe extreme sports are martial arts sports. That they are both man versus man sports, but skating is man versus self. Man versus man, I don't know if people have ever been in a fight, ever been in anything. That is the biggest, the hardest, I shouldn't say hardest hardship, but the biggest trial and tribulation you will go through, because it's your manpower versus someone else's manpower. You lack 1%, you're losing.
And that even of itself, when you get deep into those sports, because I have the wrestling background, I did jujitsu with Cockle for a while.
Yeah.
He got me into some Muay Thai and stuff like that too. And when you are at the next level, I'm not going to say elite because you don't have to. I don't think you have to be at elite level to know this. But in any combat sport, any martial art, like you said, the extreme sports are man versus self. That's all that a martial art is too. You have to. It's not you.
The work is man versus self, and that's where all of that work is what makes you be able to win man versus man. You're
Absolutely.
correct. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is like the hardest part because like when my biggest background would be with wrestling. And so you have the team aspect of the sport of wrestling, but then it's when you step out on that line, the biggest challenge that you face when the referee blows the whistle is not your opponent standing in front of you. It's trying to control your own thoughts because immediately if your game plan isn't going as your game planned and like how you've practiced, it's now you can't let the negative or intrusive thought win. You have to stay the course. You have to have the discipline to keep yourself focused on the task at hand, which isn't winning or losing. It's performing and going out there and doing what you have practiced to do.
Yeah, you're right. The best are the ones with the martial art IQ. The ones with the martial art IQ. And like I say, I am a casual. I can armbar you. I can go in there and do what I got to do. I can perform and guard and be chilling and not be scared. I'll be on top and not be scared. But I am still a casual. But I do know that, like I said, the IQ of it, I go in there with a plan. The people that are better than me, it's not a plan. They're like, I'm going to look for this opening, but this person's movement is what I'm going to base my movements off of. I do not have that IQ of jiu-jitsu, but that is, or a Floyd Mayweather that is counting his punches, not like that is a whole nother level of IQ. And that's, like you said, you do that work with yourself.
Absolutely.
For you to be able to perform man versus man. So I do agree with you.
Yeah. And if this video gets 1,000 likes, KB and I will do a mock-up. We'll do a friendly little jiu-jitsu story. Yeah, we'll roll.
We'll roll.
Yeah. Cockle. Calling out Andrew Cockle right now to ref it. Yeah, there we go.
No.
He'll probably come in and put us both in a heel hook and make us both tap in 10 seconds.
Yeah, he will.
That man is insane.
I got humbled, like you said, in sharing the locker room. That's where I first got humbled because I don't know if you guys know history between basketball and wrestling,
especially in Hamburg.
It's not really the best. I'm pretty sure all schools have like that beef, but it's always there.
That's changed now because the basketball in the high school, they have a separate locker room now.
Really?
So you know that broom closet that used to be like right behind that exit door?
Yeah.
That Menapace that's a basketball locker room now. So it's just wrestling when it's wrestling season and the big one. And then basketball has like their separate, and it like looks like an NBA locker room.
See, we shared the locker room, so the wrestlers were with the basketball players. Sometimes that creates tension. As we just spoke about, I was cool still with the wrestlers. I was cool.
Because you were intelligent. You knew the wrestlers. I will say this. The wrestlers were a little bit too cocky because they would always be like, oh, you want that locker? Yeah, wrestle me for it.
Like,
and then in the basketball players like, all right.
Bro, and I'd be about it. And then as I can always I remember this one time I was about it, not even to be name dropping, but it was me and let me think. It was me and Raph. Me and Raph. I'm just like, yo, and then he said, let's go to the net. I'm like, all right, let's go. Literally go. I'm telling you, maybe 15 seconds getting spread eagled. Yeah. And I'm just like, damn, I didn't want to give up my back, gave up my stomach, got me. Yeah. And then I was just like, all right. And then from then on, that's when I got humbled. I was probably like, a freshman, maybe like 14 or 15 then.
Yeah.
And then from then I started going to the wrestling like practices, doing their monkey rolls, running, doing backflips off the walls and such with them, and like actually being a part. Because before that, I think it was kind of like the beef of the my sport's harder than yours type of thing. But basketball, I always felt like, I guess that hand-eye coordination and such, like, but I do think, be mad at me basketball players, but wrestling is harder. The practices were harder. That had me in better shape. That all of the things that like I got over there made me better at basketball, but my basketball practices weren't as hard because you're shooting, you're playing, you know what I mean, games.
Yeah.
But wrestling, there's monkey rolls, everything, you're dead by the end of it. And then at the end, then you're going man versus man. So it's like, it's completely different. And people don't understand that.
Break your spirit before you go man versus man.
Yeah.
Because that's that man versus self part then. That's when it really kicks in.
So I'm glad that I always, not all basketball players go into that side of the gym or the locker room and go experience that. I did. Then I was always glad I did. But then that made my whole 4 years of high school, being able to bond with the wrestlers, being able to, I won't go too much into it, but like getting special treatment from being cool with the wrestlers, being able to do the things the wrestlers get to do. Like people don't think about it, but yeah.
I get that. I get that for sure. Oh man, that's funny. So having the background that you have in, you know, the strong background with sports, having the creative ability, being, you know, getting into artist, being an artist, music, rap. How did that help you and prepare you for where you are now and what you're doing now, working with New York Life?
Once again, I was always telling people to be themselves. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And if you learn about yourself, then you can kind of learn how the world works and these things work. And from that, it's kind of looking at yourself and identifying what you like, what you love, those types of things. That's what I was always telling people to do. I always knew that I wanted to help people. And being in this industry, I get to help people, as well as looking in yourself to realize, I don't know, not everyone can do it as easily or realizes, but I'm a big believer that if you look at who you were as a child, you can see why you are how you are today. And that goes from toddler, kid, teenager, young adult. You can see the traits you have and what made you that way. I know that can be hard at times, but you can see that.
Yeah.
And me doing music and such, I was a go-getter, not scared, going out, networking. People don't realize it, but you are not going to make it in the music industry unless you go rub shoulders, network, meet people to get you in the place that you need to do things. I performed at South by Southwest. I was traveling, doing things. At Lyrical Lemonade, like I said, that's when I met Juice WRLD. I've collabed and been with like so many people who have excelled and like made connections. I'm not scared to talk to people. I'm not scared to put myself out on a limb. I'm not scared to follow or chase a dream or believe in myself. Those same skills from music I use as a business owner and being an advisor. All of my clients are my clients. I help, sorry about that. I help all of my clients individually. It's up to me to help them. I had to meet them. I go out and meet all my clients. I'm there personally with them. I want to give them knowledge, power, financial literacy, all these things that came as well in my music. I was teaching people about their emotions, money, those types of things in my music. If I want to be realistic, and this is why I mean knowing yourself, I'm jaded from the music industry. The music industry is great, but it's more of an ego thing. And coming from someone who was getting millions of streams and such, you get your few thousand here and there, make money, and you can use it to do your next show, do the next video, whatever it is you need to do. But the same way as all business, you're putting money in so that you can get where you need to be. But the thing about the music industry, there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and you're just going and going. And you will, I'm telling everyone, if you believe in yourself, you will get there. But it is a hard, long journey of, I'm glad I was able to make some money from it. I see people, not saying that they're lesser or under, but people do the same thing, grinding longer, no money. I at least got to touch a lot of souls, meet people, make money, go viral, do things, and be able to say that the music industry, unless you're touring 25/8, then you're not making too much money. You make money from streams if you're owned by, if not owned, if you're on a record label, that record label's getting all your stream money. So all you're getting is the tour money. So you better be touring every day you can, or you're not making money. And you got to break off your managers, the people that helped you, your producers, all the promo you did, all these things. And then you got to pay taxes on it. So it's like, this is when you see so many, not even just music artists, athletes, famous people go broke. And that's when regular citizens, especially with social media, always attacking famous people and rich people nowadays, thinking that you're rich, you have so much money. Mo money, mo problems. If you have more money, that means they're taking more money from you.
Right.
And if no one ever taught you about those taxes, you make millions off your music career, you didn't pay any taxes on that. Now the IRS is coming and saying you owe all this and you didn't plan to be paying any of that and you just spent all your money. When you get signed to a label, you get an advance. They pay you the $1 million as you signed. That means you need to make that million back, and you don't get paid until you make that $1 million for them. That's when you see artists being broke. That's when you see, not even to be name dropping again, but like Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap's re-popping up now. He went to jail over getting into some bad things, but he had to because he wasn't getting paid as an artist. Not saying what he did is right, but I'm saying he wasn't making money from his music. Fetty Wap is a platinum artist, not making money, and had to do illegal things for his kids, went to jail for it, did his time. But that just shows you how you can be a platinum selling artist and not have the money. And that's what I was like, wow, financial literacy is lacked between not just hip hop, but all cultures. I used to say Black people, it's white people, it's all ethnicities, all Americans realistically. I used to say it was Gen Z. I got in this industry and realized it's every generation. No generation was taught about money, taxes, savings, retirement, any of that. That's what I say. That's kind of what I even say when I'm speaking to people. We're not taught about money, taxes, retirement, savings, any of that in school. And then we're kicked off into the real world. We have kids, bills, and no one taught us about any of that stuff. And now we need to fend for ourselves. I got into this industry, learned about those things, and realized, wow, we're just ignorant to this information and we're not giving the tools to be able to do these things. If someone can give you some hope and give you financial literacy of how you can excel and do these things, then you can be in a better position. I work with the paycheck to paycheck people, poverty people, 6-figure, 7-figure people. So millionaires and lower class. Realistically, I have information I can give to all of them. They have information I get from them, from learning, from seeing all these other walks of life. Being in the music industry and cutting ties there from being jaded, I knew that, like I said, not just people in the music industry didn't have this knowledge. I came from poverty, so I knew I did not have this knowledge. So I knew that really I, now having this knowledge, could give it to people. A goal of mine is to bring I have some music industry artists and such that I work with, but a goal of mine is to, outside of even working with everyday citizens, is to help even artists, athletes, all those people who get all that money and don't know how to handle it because they have a target on their back because they're making all that money. And in that way, because you have all that money, this is I don't want to say a bad example, but Antonio Brown, out of, I don't want to put anything on his back about what's going on, but he recently said that just because he made 60 or 80 million dollars does not mean that he was taught how to use it. He was kind of wanting people to feel sorry for him. Nobody was. I understand what he's saying because, like I said, more money, more problems. You make that 80 million, they're going to be trying to grab that money from you and just try to trick you, all these types of things, get you to put your money in wrong places or investments that are bad, like business ventures and such, and then you lose money. But also another part of that is having the financial literacy to budget, actually know what happens with your money, how your money works. There is contrary to that, a player who did, I believe, joined right into the NFL. He got his money, retired right away. He is still, even in his 20s, retired, and was like, I'm taking that money and I'm going to live on a farm and I'm going to take this millions and not have to work. So if this player just made a full lifetime off of his couple $1 million and is fine, is Antonio Brown right by saying he made 80 million and can't do it? Kind of sounds like a money management and financial literacy thing.
Right.
That's when I say, hey, I do see how not even just regular people, all people need this knowledge that I try to give, and why, for me being in the music industry, I knew that people with money need this information as well as everyday citizens need this information. So I was able to inspire myself from the music industry and the ways I always was, like I said, as a kid, walks of life to be ambitious and wanting to help, into financial literacy because, like I said, me coming from poverty as well, I wanted to help people, and I was helping people with music, telling them, believe in yourself, control your life. You can be wealthy in mind, spirit, body, and soul. And all I did was pivot that same virtues and same how should I say, walks of life and identity to my financial services that I do. When I'm speaking to people, I'm speaking to them personally, asking them, all of my clients, I know them, their kids. I can tell you their kids' name, their ages, help them, see them out in the store, hug them, like I'm not just a transactional, hey, do this type of person. Like, I want to help people and help them with their goals. Really, whatever your goals are, even if it's not money goals. I bet you, as you just heard, I was able to dot connect with XXTENTACION. I am a dot connector. I can make things happen. If you let me know your problem, I can help you solve that and at least help you bridge the gap to accomplish your goal. And having someone who's seen or been through a lot and wants to be there to actually help, I feel like can go a long way over just the money hungry people. You know what I was saying in my music when I was a kid? F the money. I care about love. So who would you want as an advisor? Someone who's saying they care more about you and they don't care about money and actually your goals, or the advisor that is gonna be, give me your money, give me your money, give me your money, let's put it over here, and not explain to you how it works. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I always felt like, hey, I can come to this industry. I'm excelling. As you saw, I just got awarded as top producer in my office and such. Most clients, most made. So like I am putting in the work and able to excel in things outside of music. I'm sure that's always been seen, but just showing how you can pivot even your industries. So even when you think sometimes, and I'm sure you might have even heard this, sometimes you have to do plan C to get to plan B so you can accomplish plan A. Everyone just wants to plan A and be successful.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen success, if it's a dumb analogy or meme, it's like success does not look like it's going up, down, and then straight. Success is actually a line that goes straight, all in circle, back, left, up, backwards, 300 steps, and then at the point of success. So it's never a straight line of success. It's a failure, learn, 300 steps back. Oh, learn from all those 300 steps. And now I'm back up 600. And that is success, not the easy, I have a plan. This is what's going to happen. Something also big, and this is not necessarily Drake, he has a song about it, but God's plan. That is something I am big on, and something that I learned growing up, church culture. You can, preacher being churches would always say, you can have a plan. That is not God's plan. You can have all these things that you plan that you're going to do, and it does not go that way. Your plan can crumble. Everything looks like it's going the worst in front of you. Everything looks like it's going the worst. Everything's failing. Nothing is going right. But the tunnel at the end, not even at the end, it could be 10 steps just behind where you're at. Yeah. The grace you find or that you will see from it can mean so much more than that pain you were feeling prior. God's plan, you can think you have an answer, but God will sit you down and say, I know you had a plan. This is my plan. God knows what your plan is, and he knows that your plan will get you to his plan. That's why it's in your brain. He put it there for you, but it might not necessarily be what is the plan and your whole God's work of life. So just because you say point B to point A, just because point A gets you to point B, you might have to go to C so that you can get back to A, but going to C was never part of your plan, but God knew it was part of your plan. So I've always used that analogy for when people are like, hey, you were successful in this, why do you go over here? Or realistically in life, God gives you the tools to know how to pivot. You do need to know how to pivot in all steps of life. When you have kids, any venture, you need to know how to take the skills that you have and pivot to something else, because something else will be more important than what you think is important today.
I want to affirm that, because my story was, right after high school, I got into sales. I did Cutco Cutlery, vector marketing. We've talked about that. I did that for 5 years, got in RV sales. Then I got into, I jokingly said I sold people, but I did staffing. So I went from, I was like, for my friends, I'd be like, I went from knife sales to people sales, And they were like, what?
That's hilarious.
So I did that, and like the sales route was like what it looked like my life was going to be. And then I had my daughter, her mom and I separated. I was left with working a 100-hour a week on a, corporate America middle management job. And I was like, man, I can't do this. So I wanted to start my own business. I failed at that. And when I started applying for jobs, I was literally just trying to find jobs that I could just work the days that I didn't have my daughter. And the only job that accepted me was in a nursing home. And became a CNA, and I took care of elderly people. And what was funny is, like, I didn't know it in the time. So you talked about, the importance of humility in the locker room. I learned the importance of humility when my job was literally cleaning elderly people's bottoms all day, and going from being, 2 steps under the owner of a Fortune 500 company to being at the bottom of the totem pole in a role. And what that taught me, though, was better and deeper personal relationship skills, and ironically enough, I was able to correlate a lot of the things that I learned in sales on how to, the hardest sales job you ever have to do, KB, I'm going to tell you this right now in case you ever have a loved one that moves in and you have to take care of them, is convincing a stubborn old man why he needs to get a shower when he does not want to get out of bed. Let me tell you, you don't know sales until you got to sell that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sharing this because after that, the first business that I ran was an in-home healthcare business. And I only was able to do that because of I was doing that job and I had people that I was taking care of that just asked me like, hey, we're going home soon. Would you be willing, like on your free hours or whatever, just to like swing by and do that? And when enough people heard that when I said yes to that one, and enough people heard that I was doing that, friends and stuff like that, then they entrusted their loved ones with me so that they didn't have to put them in a home. And that was my first time so that I started doing that end of 2023. So I got into the nursing industry beginning of 2022. By the end of 2023, I started doing a lot more of these in-home care things. And by 2024, I was self-employed, only taking care of people, doing it like that. And it came so naturally that I didn't have to overanalyze or overthink or let my brain do the work. It just, by God's grace. And that's what gave me the confidence to be a business owner and now do what I can do now. And now when I looked at going into wanting to start this business back in the end of 2024 and really starting in 2025, I was like, I'm already self-employed. So like, I'm not taking that big of a risk anymore. And that was like what you were saying. I thought I was on plan A and I was riding plan A, but God was like, no. We need a bop. And I went down to like plan Z just for him to then take me back to
But plan Z gave you some more tools for your plan A.
Absolutely.
So it's like that's also what I mean about like the appreciating life.
Yeah.
When you can look at the signs that God gives you, then you can know that it makes sense. And like these things, everything happens, it's cliche, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. It's your life story. It's all gonna make sense at the end. Yes, that's the cliche stuff we're always told, but in reality, for some reason,
it's cliche for a reason.
Yeah,
like
and I'm the philosophy guy, so like I've read so many people's teachings and such of it, and I love that stuff. But like, you can look at it on a science aspect, you can look at it on a religious or spiritual aspect, and coincidentally, still goes together. So like, you can be religious, spiritual, you can be an atheist, you can be agnostic, but still realistically, coincidentally, or you can say ironically, why does it all come together or still make sense? Obviously, God put us in these bodies for us not to be able to understand it, but like we said, death is when you understand. So it's ironic and coincidental, but all these things happen for a reason. And like I said, those last moments of your life is when you think of my whole life. Did I do what I wanted to do? Am I happy? Did I love my family, kids well? Did I, all those things?
Yeah.
And then Judgment Day. So it's like, you're gonna look at yourself as, I'm not good enough, when obviously God knows you are. Come to me as you are. He doesn't care how you are. So once again, like I say, not again to be religious about it, but coincidentally, everything happens for a reason. So that's why I say if you don't want to take the religion, but take the science side of it, if you use at least emotional intelligence, psychology, social and such, that's what I mean, that don't look at the things that happen that are bad as bad right now, because if you take them as resources, they will help you later in life. So that's what I mean of the things that happen to you as a kid, teenager, young adult, will be tools for you when you need them. So once again, cliche, everything happens for a reason. But it's true.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, that's great. And to continue down, everything happening for a reason, you were able to get the job that you have now,
Yes.
where you get the opportunity to, and like you said, like it's such a missed thing. Like we go into the same high school, the financial education that we had.
Mm-hmm.
We did have personal finance. That was a required class.
Yeah.
We learned the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong. Schools are following the curriculums. But
I will always, no one will admit this. Hey, crosstalk, this is Hamburg. I will always admit, not to cut you off, but Hamburg, I can tell you this coming from a kid who's been to multiple schools, multiple school districts. The best education I ever got was at Hamburg. Ironically, we were the second school in the state to do the 1-to-1, and we had Governor Tom Wolf come shoot a commercial at our school. I remember we were in middle school and we were doing like test programs for the laptops. Now every school does laptops and things digitally, but we were that first Gen Z generation to transition into that in America. And as David was saying, we got personal finance. I always remember in 8th grade, all schools get to choose what classes you want for high school. And the thing is, education has to be taught to make kids care about learning, because they don't ever learn to care about learning because they don't teach them things they like. So I was probably the anomaly weird kid. I liked learning. So for me in 8th grade, most people were choosing, I'm going to high school, I'm going to choose home ec, wood shop, and whatever classes my friends are in. I took accounting, webpage design, business and entertainment marketing. I took, outside of the accounting, I took sports, I took prob and stat, like some other, like the classes that I'm like, hey, I might not go to college, but all these things will help me later in life. I did still take wood shop. I didn't take any cooking classes. I am pretty good at cooking, but I was like, not in a mean way. These skills, I say it all the time, I moved to Hamburg. I was about to get a white education, and I was going to take advantage of that as much as I could. Like I was like, let me take all these classes, because I don't know if I'm gonna go to college. I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to take all these classes. So I was just signing up for psychology.
White education. Right,
I was like psychology, soc, everything that I could get. I was probably the average 8th grader is not signing up for that stuff, but I was. And I was always happy that 8th grade, that Hamburg had those electives for me to join. They were electives, so they weren't mandatory, but that means you had to care to sign up for them. And I say that in the way of Hamburg's education, that someone like me, not the smart, I failed a grade even. People don't know that. I failed a grade, and when I failed a grade, that was actually one of the learning curves for me, to be like, I'm not dumb. I am actually extremely intelligent, and I can use this failure to help me prosper. And that's then when, like I said, I signed up for all those classes, excelled, and that type of thing. So I say that in the way of, if you can help teach kids to like learning, then they might take advantage of the things that we have in school in our curriculum, because it is a myth that people will say, I got a Pennsylvania or I got a United States education, I'm not smart. We have a great education system. Not everywhere, so don't get it twisted. I'm not everywhere, but I can say Hamburg had a great education system. So not like I said, not to cut you off.
No.
That's just something.
Good.
That's something that I feel like people. Me coming from it, I will never say bad things about the education of Hamburg, because I did learn a lot. I also know that not everyone is as resourceful. You can give all the same kids that same knowledge, and not everyone will take it or use it. So that's why I say, if you teach kids to like to learn, then when those classes come, they'll take advantage of them. So just in that way, because Yeah, sorry, like I said,
No,
not to
you're
cut you
good.
off.
No, and that is like super important too, because there were a ton of great programs and electives that were taught at the school. Like I took 2 business classes in school. I was in more of the advanced classes. I was in my senior year. I was in the AP.
You take calc or anything?
I took pre-calc. I got knocked off my freshman year. I sat next to my best friend in math class, and worst grade in math I ever had made me ineligible to continue down the path. So I had to take Prob and Stat my junior year. So then senior year I was only eligible for pre-calc.
See, that's why I asked that. I took the Prob and Stat because of this mentality of being a business person. Everyone's like, I want to take pre-calc and calc. I'm like, when are you using that in life?
I'm glad you brought that up, because you were talking about all these things that you get to learn in life, and I was going to be like, when was the last time you used sine and cosine, KB? When was the last time? Like,
But
oh man.
but when I take my Prob and Stat, I use that every day in my industry. Percentages, the probability of something happening, investments is Prob and Stat. It's watching the market. Just to say, hey, take these classes, people, because
even breaking that down too, like you being a business owner, everything you do is Prob and Stat investment. It's looking at your ROI. Yeah, and
yes, that's what as a kid, not everyone has clairvoyance like that. I'm not even saying that in a conceited way, in a humble way. That's also why I think college is still important. I know people are about it. If your kid doesn't know what they want to do, just send them off to it. Even if it's just community, that will let them be able to develop what they like to learn.
We differ on that one.
What? I'm not saying college is the answer. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not saying college is the answer.
Did you go to college?
No.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying. I'm not saying college is the answer. College, if you know what you want to do, college is the answer.
If it is required.
You can make, I'm not, maybe it's me speaking from the financial side and the poverty side, like I said, to me, college was
I don't want to get us down this rabbit hole, but
not yet, me either. To me, it was I don't want to say better, because I'm not trying to not be intelligent. Knowledge is power, people. But in the way the climate has changed and shifted things, we are actually, it's crazy because of Gen Z, we are literally right that cutoff of like, we're now the young adults, and we have our generation that went to college, and we have the generation before us that went to college. I was able to see my millennial friends go to college and not use their degree at all and be working in a job, not using the degree, not doing any of that. You know what I mean? So we were able, I was able to be like, is college the thing if you don't know what you want to do? And that's why I say send your kid if they don't know, because they need to learn what they like.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not saying like, just send them, because that is not the move. Do not just send your kid to college if they do not.
Coming from the financial guy, telling somebody to go
do not waste
$10,000.
This is why I say learn about yourself and learn what you want and what you like. Because if you just spend that 4 years, not to tangent, one of the biggest, and I'm sure you guys would know, the scariest thing people come to me about is their debt. And
really, it's a financial thing. I would have never imagined.
And the biggest thing that people's debt is, you think it'd be their mortgage, it'd be things like that. It's those college student loans.
Yeah,
and like that's something that you're gonna have to pay. Oh, we were just talking about death. Fun fact, you know what's here after death? Your student loans. When you die, you know what you still gotta pay? Your student loans. They're the beneficiary attached.
Yeah.
You don't pay them, someone else is. So there's obviously ways you can get out of it if you do, but that's just, like I say, one of those funny things of,
people gotta get their money. It doesn't matter if you're alive or not.
So that's why I say, not, like I said, I guess I can be contradicting of it. I'm more on a balance aspect of looking at both perspectives. That's why I say, if you know what you want to go to college for, go and grow prosperous if you do not go. Don't waste the money. I mean, if you do not know what you like, do not waste them. Go to community college. That's what I mean, because then you won't be I shouldn't say wasting as much money, using as much. But if you're going to a state college,
say wasting. I'm okay with that. I'm very anti.
If you go to a state college and you are spending $100,000, and that's why I'm saying the way we were, I don't want to say lied to, but the perception of life after.
You need to go to college to succeed.
Because they're going to be, and I'm not saying that that's wrong, because if you are at a D1 or a alumni of like Yale, Harvard, those types of things, then that can open up so many doors for you. I'm talking about when you're spending 200, 300K on a state college, and now you're going to work an office job that's making you 80K a year.
Right.
That's when things don't balance out, and that's why I say use your degree. If you go, and this is why I say coming from, and like I said, not to be tangenting it, I love, outside of finance and such, I was not the money numbers math guy. I did pay attention to money, but I was not the money algebra numbers guy. I was the psychology, history, sociology, literature guy. I'm pretty good at digesting information, retaining it, and giving it back out.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to go to, like I said, I wanted to go to college for psychology, social, and philosophy. Tell me what jobs you can get in those. You got to be a therapist, or you got to be testing people as a clinical psychologist. Not technically, not too much the route I wanted to go. So I was like, so I got to go to school, pay all this for knowledge, but then won't be able to get a job? Maybe I should just learn these things on my own, take courses, study, learn that. That's why, like I said, I saw Hamburg was offering my psychology, social, all those. Took them my sophomore year. I'm signing up for these things because I was interested in it. I use those skills to on my daily when I'm talking to people. That is my communication skills. And that's even how I'm able to, like I said, help use them. But I knew that if I would go to college for that, then what money am I going to be making? That's why I didn't go to college, but I still then got licensed in this industry, took all my tests, did all the work, that type of stuff. Went a different route outside of college, but like I said, I still signed up for all those college prep courses, all those things that would help me in life. And now, as I just said, plan A, plan B, plan C, I was setting myself up as a kid because now I have all these tools. Took accounting, took business, took webpage design, took sports and entertainment marketing, took sociology, psychology. I learned about people. I took, like I said, accounting. Did I know I was going to be going into this financial service industry? Nope. But I knew accounting was important. So I knew that it was about an everyday, daily, like learning things. That's why I mean, if you learn, not if you learn, but if you like learning and know what you like, then you can go in that direction. I do think it's hard for people to know what they like, which is why I say if your kid does not know, go the community college route and let them learn about themselves. If they know they want to be a biologist, whatever, I was going to go off on the tangents of all the types of professions, but if they know what they want to do, then send them to college for that. But if your kids kind of doesn't know, then times have changed. Going college and hoping you get a job at the end is not necessarily the way, but a college education, I'm not going to lie, will give you some extra tools to be able to handle some of the trials and tribulations in life better. And I don't want to say better, because also it could be someone who doesn't go that college route, gets that same experience and can excel in that. But when you go to college, then you get, how should I say, not a more variety, but a more reps in. You see more scenarios, you run into just more to be able to then have more experiences. But other than that,
you can.
That's why I say the alumni stuff. Like, Once again, people will be like frats, sororities. I think that's the best part about colleges. I know people want to, but those are going to be the things that build you connections. Once you are in a frat, once you're in a sorority, those are going to be the people you connect with business-wise, people you connect with in your adventures later in life. So that's when I say, I'm not even part of that, but I grew up with the Howard University uncle, always took me to like Howard alumni things, and I would see just hundreds of people who were get together for each other. They still get together with each other 20 years later. That's great. So think of like those connections you make from going to college. That's when I say it in that way. I didn't even do that, but I got to experience some of that from a frat uncle. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I say, like you said, it can be controversial. But I wouldn't say I say knowledge is power, so I say college is good, but I do not think college is the answer for everyone.
No, I love that. The second thing that you said, because when you were talking, like, getting the experiences, the exposures and stuff like that, I was that second person. And what I mean is, so because of my resume, when I had that middle management Fortune 500 job, so there was, I think, 30 people in the company that had the same position as me. This company had thousands, tens of thousands of employees. So I was in the very upper echelon. Out of the 30 branch managers that company had, I was the only one that did not have a college degree. And the only reason that they even allowed me to get to that point is because I had a track record of management and sales management, of producing high numbers. And it was really funny because I had a phone call so there was two owners of this company. The first owner, it kind of threw me off because he was like, typical Boston accent, super laid back guy. So he comes into the interview super laid back. And at first I was like, he's going to try to catch me on something. But no, this dude was just chill like that. And that's just how he was. Then I had the call with the other owner. And we get on the call, and this was the funniest thing. And I'm so glad that I was prepared. But the first thing, he gets on the call, he's like, no rapport building, no nothing. He gets on the call, he's like, so I'm just going to shoot it with you straight. He's like, you got up to my point, so obviously, you can interview well. Yeah, so we don't have, like, nobody has ever made it to this point without having a college degree. Why should I even hire you? And I was just like, okay. And the first off-the-cuff answer I gave, I was like, well, why is a college degree a part of your requirement? Because a college degree just gives you a piece of paper that says that you are capable in knowing how to do X, Y, Z. I said, my resume shows you that I have already done X, Y, Z. And then he was just like, good answer. And then he moved on. And then it was like rapport building and stuff like that. It was like really cool.
Nice, yeah.
So that's like one of the things. I mean, I have the business background and everything like that. So like I'm a big person on like, I don't even think when people are like, I want to go to school for business, I'm like, you know what would be better than that? Graduating high school and just going into business. But
you say part of my job, like I'll create savings for kids, for clients. There's ways you can save money to attach it to investments. There's ways you can save it to attach it to just like some compounding interest things and such.
Yeah.
And I will do those for clients so that they can have savings for their kids down the line. So it's like, let's say, put X amount of money here for the next 20 years. Their kid is 5 years old. At 25, their kid has enough money for whatever it is. And you can use that for, if you've ever heard the terms, most parents will have like 529s, which are 529 plans, which are college funding plans. It's savings you would make for your kid, and it's an investment that you put in and then attach to the stock market, and it grows. Therefore, you can have money for your kid for college, and you save that over a long run, such as you get it when they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then when they are 18 and they're going to college, if you had saved $1,000 a year for them, then if you had saved $1,000 a year for them until they were 18, you would have some money. But if you had saved $1,000 in the stock market every year till they were 18 and sent them to college, you would have more than just that 1,000. So when people are saving in a savings account for college is not the smartest thing, but it's still at least some savings. But that's why 529s were created, so that people can have money attached in investments to save for their kid and have the money grow faster. I do similar things to that and those things, and people don't realize that 529s have to be just for college. They changed the law recently that if you had a 529, then you can now give it to people outside of your kids, like nephews, cousins, etc. It used to be that a 529 had to be for your kid to go to college. And if your kid did not go to college, vetoed, gone. So like your money lost. And so you save all this time, not in a mean way. You have an F up kid doesn't go to college. Now you saved all this money and that money is gone. They've now made the laws that you can transfer it to other family members, but that's still how a 529 plan works. It has to be used for college. There's ways that I help people save where they can choose to use it for college or whatever they want. So like I have those plans, policies, things put away for them so that it doesn't have to be college. If their kid changes their mind as they're growing up and they want to start a business, now this money you just saved away is $100,000 for them to start a business with a head start instead of $100,000 for a tuition for college. So what level playing field do you want to give your child? You can give them that to go to college still, or that $100,000 could be going to kickstart that business. And I'm sure if you had $100,000 to kickstart your business now at 26, wouldn't that have changed so much than having to get it out the mud?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
You see, because and this is, I think a part of business, you have to go through the mud.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so like that's where I get like a little hit or miss, because I have to take the opportunity of looking back and seeing I didn't have, like when I graduated high school, my mom didn't have any college savings for me. She didn't have any sort of retirement plan set up for me, or, I mean, she was really bad with money, you know? So I had to go through the thick of it.
Yeah.
And in that process, I learned. So I'm like, and the point too, where I'm like, I would love to be able to give my girls X amount of dollars when they graduate, or whenever it's like to do that. Like that sounds so great, but that's actually been the biggest thing that I've personally been wrestling with, because it's like, yes, that would set them apart, but in so doing, does that remove the learning piece that would be required with it? So it's like, I still want to do that. I would love to have X amount of dollars, whatever it is, saved for them for when they graduate, to be able to be used. But I'm like, how can I do it where it still is instilling?
That is a hard.
That
is very hard to do, and that's actually, I'm sure, something all parents wrestle with, and it's very hard to even think about that or think of what you can do. Spiritually, I've even heard in church that people don't realize it, but, and then not to be, how should I say, cynical about it, but they say it takes 3 generations to mess up everything. Meaning.
Oh yeah, because I heard the quote. It's
so like your kid.
Hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times.
Exactly, and then that's how the cycle repeats. And that's how the cycle goes. Yes, that is exactly.
I butchered that fully with some of them.
No, but that's what it is. And I don't have kids yet, but I think of like what I'd rather have the money and be able to teach them the tools of it rather than them not have the money, me give them the tools, but then it still be hard. I hope there is some way where, and I'm sure not sure, I know there is. All you have to do is kind of, I don't want to say hold their hand, but give them the tools and see if they are about it. But when it comes to like passing on that would be like, if you have a business, your kids worked with you on the business. So your kids saw you grow the business, so they care about it still. So then when they're learning, they're doing it because they want to keep parent happy, but also they were there to see it be built, so they still care. Their kid, next generation, their kid did not see it get built. They see their parent with the business, that parent's trying to do more advancements, grow, maybe whether it's regionally, state, global, nationally, globally, whatever. That next demographic is like, what can I do to take my parents' business to the next level? That kid under them might see their parent working that and they might care, but since they did not see the blood, sweat, and tears, they might not have that instilled in them. That parent has to learn a way to keep the kid involved so the kid can care and see, because kind of like as you were saying, it's not impossible, but it is harder to learn those skills if you don't go through them. Similar, full circle, or similar to the callback of us talking about sports. I think that those trials, that's why I say sports is the easiest way. Those trials and tribulations, if you can teach someone that failures will help them grow, means they can work themselves out of those holes you were saying. But someone who doesn't go through that as much might not, someone who has the silver platter, everything done for them, won't see all of those struggles to be able to fix the problem when the struggle comes. So you have to let them know there will be struggles. I'm sure if you've like seen today, you're a parent, you might, but I don't have kids, but I see the debate of people talking about like gentle parenting versus non-gentle parenting, or telling your kids to fight and not telling your kids to fight, are things that people kind of think about, because they're like, hey, on the side of that, it's the teach your kid to fight so they can defend themselves and learn hardships, as well as if you teach them that, then they're also going to get beat up, which means they're going to learn I'm not the strongest man. There's always someone stronger than me, which shows that you're going to have to get better to excel. If you gentle parent on this side, your kid won't learn those hardships unless you give them the tools. But still, if you give them the tools, if they don't see it, how are they going to use those tools in action? So like there has to be some common middle ground. And that's why I say it is, like I said, I'm not a parent and I will never critique any parent's way of raising their kids, but it is up to the parent to kind of have to be like, hey, how can I give them the tools still and be hard on them, but then not be as hard on them? I feel like I said, I don't have kids yet, but I think I'll probably be the harsh parent, but also the uncaring parent, being like, oh, you got hurt, whatever, that type of thing. But also the stern, you didn't win, that's your fault. You want to win, you're gonna have to work harder. Like that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like I know some people would say, "Oh, that's mean. That's hard." Be with them in their emotion first. So like, be with them with the sadness, but tell them you want to get better. You got to do better. I always relate it to sports. Martial arts is, like I said, like you said, man versus self, and then man versus man. I say skateboarding is my biggest, because skateboarding is. If you explain skateboarding to someone, it's like, why the heck do you do that? And how do you think that is fun? We are literally defying physics, throwing ourselves down stairs, rails, into the concrete, into cement, just so we can land on this board that is 7 or 8 inches wide and say, yes. So like,
I've never skateboarded in my life.
you haven't skated?
Never.
Let me
day
get you
in
on
my
a
life.
skateboard.
I would love to. That would be fun.
No, it's literally the best, most free
I
feeling
used to
thing.
do so to keep this in the same context.
Yeah.
My mom, after my dad left, my mom was I was the only boy, so she was more on the protect me from all things.
Gotcha. How'd you get into wrestling?
She didn't understand what wrestling was.
Gotcha.
And
Cutting all that weight, doing all.
Yeah, she didn't know any of that.
That is
none of that.
That's why I say again, different world being a wrestler.
Yeah. So it was funny because I remember her first time watching me wrestle in a match, and she saw what it was. She was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "Mom, I already signed up. Like,
Right.
like that's it." But so a lot of my life, I grew up of like I was
protected.
afraid.
You were.
So I was like afraid of doing those things, and like only more recently in my life have I been able to like kind of break free from those like chains and like. Downstairs is like the aerial art studio. I've taken lyric classes and I'm like hanging like 8 feet off the ground and I'm doing stuff like upside down and I'm like, this is so fun. And I'm like,
you got to get those lively moments of life, like live, do things. Snowboarding is something I picked up more now lately, now that I'm older and can afford it. You know what I mean? That's kind of a more expensive sport, skiing, snowboarding, that type of stuff. But
definitely a white guy sport.
Yes, for sure. It for sure is a white guy sport, and you need money to get into it, which is why so many minorities haven't got. They do now, like now, everything. You know how America is into it now, but then you got to be paying all that money to get in. So skating was easier because you just got to get one skateboard, push it around, and do your thing. Mm-hmm. But with skating, like I said, you look for that one yes or multiple yeses, but with the athletics and it teaching trials, tribulations, and failures, you can get so mad that it's not working, but the only person you can be mad at is yourself. And you're not gonna get better unless you push yourself to get better. And no one's even, I shouldn't say no one, but you'll learn the basics of which way it works, but you're still going to have to learn what works for you. Everyone does every trick. There is mechanics to how it happens, but everyone has their own style, the own way they do things. They might push their foot down different. They might slide their foot different at a different time. They can still make the trick happen, but they need to learn how they do it. And you have to learn that to do every trick, whether it's a basic kickflip. You slide your foot off the corner of a board to do a kickflip. You might not know that. To do a pop shove it, it's all in the back foot. You slide your back foot and then it moves for you. But these are just things you learn, and as well as physics, you add into it and you slide your foot a different way, and then it will flip more or spin more, or you stay your body with it and you will 180, 360, those types of things. And every time you want to learn something else, you're going to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall. You're going to be mad you can't do it, but you're going to get this much closer and be so happy that you got that much closer. And then once you land the trick, you're going to be so happy, and everything you just did is going to mean nothing because you're going to be like, I just landed that trick. But the part that you also, I say mean nothing, but that's because in the moment you're just so happy that you landed it. But after it, you appreciate the work you put in to get to that trick you did. So whatever trick you did, it's very hard to get, and that's what I'm saying, skating. That's why I compare skating to martial arts. Not in a mean way. Anyone can fight. You can learn and get better at it, but you come out of the womb knowing how to throw a punch. You can hit someone, you can do things. It's natural human body reaction, human body responses and reaction. Skating is not as natural. And
you're saying you didn't come out of the womb with a skateboard in hand? No.
Skating is not as natural, and it's probably the hardest of the extreme sports. Like there's snowboarding, biking, rollerblading, whatever you want. Skating is the one where it's not connected to your feet and you're just sliding your feet in so many ways to do a trick. So it is hard. And then it's, like I said, learning from your errors. But so to be good at skateboarding, you can talk to someone, they will tell you, I spent 4 years skating, can't even kickflip. Not saying that not being able to kickflip doesn't make you good, but it shows you how kickflip is the basic starter trick, and someone can be skating their whole life and still not know how to kickflip. And just be like, I put so much time into it. They might get good at other things and learn, maybe they can do pop shove it, spins, 180s. Maybe they're better at vert and skate ramps, but can't. Tony Hawk will talk like that. He's like, I'm not good at the stuff that I do. He's like, I'm not good at the stairs and the rails and that type of stuff, but the ramps, that's his better cup of tea. Every skater can have that's why skating is also such an individuality sport, because you can have one square and skate, you can skate on a ramp, you can skate anywhere, but it's not up to you. It's your personality and identity you put in with skating, which is why it's an individual sport. It's trial and error, man versus self. So all those things that you learn, it takes time to learn it. And you're like, wow, after 1 year, I'm still not good. And then you're like, let me get better, and so on and so on. So that's why I think skating for me was that big, the big trial and error thing. And this is my analogy of it. People, why would I be scared to start my own business or to get clients or to network or to learn or to take a test to get my licenses and do these things when I throw myself downstairs, rails, hurting my arms, bleeding, effing myself up, which is actual real pain. And then
physical pain. Yeah.
The things that's just the mental pain, whereas skating is the mental and the physical pain. So if I can just take the mental, why not take a test, put myself through some trials and tribulations, get licensed, put myself through an uncomfortable situation of starting a business, it being hard. Yes, it's hard, but am I gonna die? Am I gonna break a bone? Skating, I can break bones. Skating, I can die. Skating, I get hurt every time I step on the board.
Yeah.
But I do it and I love it. So that's when I say skating is what gave me the I can do anything type of ambition, because there's so much trial and error and wanting to do better in skating. So I'm not to say, I think you get that from you get that from most athletic sports, but that's why I say skating is the hard one, and individuality. I think martial arts is harder. It can be a debate, but skating gave me most of my skills I use in my everyday life. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anything else with New York life that you want to touch up on. I want to give you the opportunity to share that.
There's something, I don't know, like there's some quotes and things that like I think that are important. Like I don't want to, I mean, we can take them so we can get clips from them, I guess, if you want, or something, because I mean, like, they're good phrases and things that you could use or I could use, but I mean, I don't want to get too in depth with them because of our time and such, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So why don't you give and I don't like saying it like this, but like as bare bones as possible, and then all I have is one more question for you. Right. So yeah, New York life. I'll just leave it open ended for you.
So I do. I like to speak more about myself than New York life, which you guys even heard me speak about in the beginning of why I do this. Like I said, the Gen Z wasn't taught about money, taxes, savings, and then we're kicked off into the real world, and we have kids, bills, and then we're off to fend for ourselves while this whole thing is burning down in front of us. So like that's why I do what I do and why I try to help people and give financial literacy, and being with a place like New York Life, a Fortune 500 company that has given me the tools and resources to be able to help the people I care about is great. New York Life has been around since 1845, so it's over 180 years old now. And in that, you can be like, oh, actually, I won't even bring that up, but it being 1845, I say this in the way of people will go to somewhere, or people, I'm not sure they're people, they will go somewhere like, I do not want to slander other companies, like the new digital advisors and companies and AIs and things like that. And then it's like, who do you trust? Not who do you trust, who is going to be there for your generational wealth after your life as well as during your life? The company that's existed for 5-10 years and is trying to make some money off you, or the company that's been around since 1845, before Texas existed, before the dollar bill existed, made it through the Great Depression, the recession, the World War I, World War II, the pandemic, and still pays dividends and helps out and does all these things for people. So when I say that in the way, just to always show like financial strength of New York life, of you can see world disasters or world events that have been bad for the economy, and New York life still did not let them affect them doing best by the people. Other companies, and I say this every time I'm speaking to someone, other companies will have stockholders. Stockholders mean that there's business people pumping money into it, and who does the company care about? Those stockholders. New York Life is not a stock company. It is a mutual company, which means it has policyholders. So people who have policies, such as the everyday citizens that have policies, get a form of dividend from New York Life, as New York Life does great. So as I said, New York Life's been around since 1845. Do you think they're going to do great? Yes. They just had, for 2020, we just are paying 2026 a record dividend year of $2.78 billion in dividends to New York Life clients. I try to teach people about how they can get a piece of that and be able to save for themselves, their families, kids, all those types of things. But New York Life is a great company that lets me be able to be self-employed, learn from them, get the groove, get my groove in the industry. But I am self-employed and do this by myself, work for myself, my clients. It's me between them. Everything is confidential. So I say that in a way of New York Life is the parent company, but I am the person who actually is doing all of the work and being my own boss. I eat what's the term when you're in self-employed or business, eat what you kill. I can tell you my clients, like I said, who I've helped, their kids' names, what they do, their goals. I am personally with my clients. So actually being there, not just and like I said, I don't want to name other companies to like slander or anything, but that guy who's just shaking your hands, smiling in your face, taking your money, and then you never talk to again.
Yeah.
So like that's why I tried to bridge the gap and be personal in that way. So that's about New York Life. I've kind of already told you about myself, but I want you to get to your question. But some things about like financial literacy and what I do. I do this because I care, and I want to help people give financial literacy to everyone so they can put themselves in a better position. And just like some things that I've always, some things that I've taught people so that they can have these tools, use them for themselves. And it's usually philosophies. People think that it's money and things that need to be changed first, but it's usually philosophies that you hold, and that will help you with the money, such as like something that I'm big on is it's not about how much money you make, it's how much you keep. That is, someone will be like, oh, I make $100K a year, I'm good. But after taxes, that comes to about $75K a year. So that $25K that you're not talking about could be more depending on your living situation and how you file. But you say you make 100K, but you only gross 75K. So why, other than the IRS saying that you made this much, you have to pay taxes. People just forget about taxes and don't equate that into their budgeting, spending, or anything. So realistically, even if you make the average American 40K a year, and then you're like, I make 40K, you're really making close to about 30, 33K. And people don't think about it that way. And that's why I say to think about how much you actually make because of how much you take home. Like, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. So how much did you actually take home to keep? And I don't think, and I shouldn't say I don't think, I know, but most Americans do not know how much money they make. I know that sounds crazy. People do not know how much money they make.
Sense.
They do not know how much money they spend. They do not know what it takes to do things. And that's also why, even outside of the how much you keep, another important philosophy that I have is budgeting. And I've spoken about this before. This is something that everyone can do. You do not have to be a top dog investor. You do not have to be rich. You do not have to be anything like that. I say all the time, I'm Mr. Krabs out here. I am mad frugal, and you've seen I've got to travel, do things. I was in Japan for a month. I was just in Italy. I was in Korea. I've been to a great amount of places, and that's not from me being rich or making all this money or anything. That's from planning those destinations and saving and budgeting for them. Saving X amount every week or X amount every month will get you to this much by the end of the year, which can pay for this trip. People don't know, like I said, how much they make, so they don't know how much they keep. Therefore, they don't even know how much they can save. If you don't know how much money you're making, how are you going to know how much you can save to help reach your goals? And that's why I say budgeting is important, because people don't think about it, but you should know how much you spend on groceries, how much you spend on gas, what your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, all of your monthly expenses cost. If you don't know what your monthly expenses cost, that is the first problem you are going to have. If you do not know how much everything costs, how do you know how much you're going to save? Like I said, if you make, I'm going to even, like I said, low ball things here and like even talk about, like I said, that 40K average and like speak about like normal average Americans. So like, even if you make 40K a year and you're bringing in close to 3K a month, but now your mortgage or rent is one of your full paychecks, then now you only have $1,500 to now pay. I'm sorry, in that instance, you make 3K a month, your rent's $1,500, you now have $1,500 to pay for your groceries, your gas, your kids, all these things that you want to do. Not to mention, I speak to people every day. Don't get me started on when I'm talking to them and they have so many subscriptions. They don't even know what subscriptions they're signed up for. Like all these things that people just say yes to pay for and don't think about it later because they say, I have the money, I can afford it. And then they don't think about how much that bill is. On a small instance, Netflix costs $20 a month now. That's a small subscription. Most people have it. But that is $20 a month. That is $220 a year. And I bet you most people have more than just Netflix. So now let's take Netflix, Paramount, Plus, Disney, all of these streaming services, and they still have cable. Let's just like add this all together on what people are paying for entertainment and then paying for, and they don't even realize because they just say yes to it. So I say that in that way of budgeting because so many people do not know how much they make, how much they keep, and how much they can save. But if you realize how much you spend a month, your monthly expenses, then you can realize how much you can save, and then you can do all of these fun things you want because you can accolade $200 a month to doing fun things, $100 a month to doing fun things. I speak about it nowadays, I'm Mr. Krabs out here in Frugal, like I said. I now realize I am the crazy one. I have not bought fast food in 3 or 4 years. Not even on a frugal aspect. I don't like what it really does to my body, as well as I'm sure you all know now, you go to McDonald's, it's not no more dollar menu. You spending $20. You go to McDonald's every day, you just spent that every day for your 5 days of your work week. This is when I see people spending the most money. Not saying don't eat at work, but you can pack maybe 3 times a week, not eat every day, five days a week at work, and be spending $20 on your McDonald's meal. Like, people don't think about it in that way, even if you spend half of that. So you spend half of that, $10 a day to eat. So like you're budgeting, but that's still then $50 a week, $200 a month you spent on eating at work, not eating at home, not eating with your family, eating at work. Whereas if you took that $200 a month, that's $2,400 a year. Put that in an investment, have it grow. Way more money than you getting to eat McDonald's. You know what I mean? People don't put it in that perspective, and it's hard to unless you see resolve or resolution, or what you put out you get back, which kind of can take some time to do. But that's why it starts first with the budgeting. So that's why I say it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, as well as the budgeting are important things. The other thing that I always tell people that goes hand in hand with that is the compounding interest, about saving. The longer everyone wants to be the day trader, Wolf of Wall Street people, make all that money, get rich fast. Simple Path to Wealth, which is a book, will teach you that the person who saves smart and invests smart over a long term will make more money than the day trader. The day trader is gambling, and he's going to have some crazy wins where he's going to make a lot. He's also going to have a lot of losses. By then, they will lose so much that, yes, they will make money, but over a 30-year span, you can look at the statistics, and the day trader over 30 years will make less than the person who saved safely in the S&P 500 or Russell 2000 and saved their small amount, I shouldn't say small amount, but they saved their amount they could do over their 30 years till they retire, will have more money than that gambling day trader. Because compounding interest, the longer you leave your money to grow, the more it will become. And if you want to know how to prove that, you can ask someone, would you rather have a penny that doubled every day or $1 million? Most people are going to say $1 million. That's not the work smart answer. That is the easy answer. Take $1 million right away. That's easy. But if you actually took the penny that doubled every day, then by the time you are at day 25, you are actually at $1 million. And then by the time you are at day 30, you are at, I believe, 5.3 million. So you made $4 more million than the person who took the 1 million, but you made that in 30 days. So since you waited the 30 days to make that penny to double, it didn't look like you were going to have a lot of money, but by the end, you did. That's to prove the power of compounding interest. It's not about fast money. It's about leaving your money somewhere to grow over a long time. This is what Buffett, these are what these people say. They will tell you, put your money there, let it sit, don't touch it. You can only lose if you sell. If you are up and the market goes down and you sell, you are going to lose money. If you're up and the market goes down and you don't sell, you're not going to lose money. If it goes up and you don't sell, you're not going to lose money. You can only lose if you sell. So that's when I also speak about the emotion, because it's fear that gets over people. And then they're like, I need to pull my money out the stock market or things like that. We are young, so we're able to kind of ride the stock market. An older person can't as much. And that's when you see a crazy problem we have nowadays of all of these seniors and people that have retired and now they need to go back to work. That happens from not having enough for retirement, or the people who maybe they were ready to retire, but now they see their stocks down, so now they can't retire yet. So things like that. But you need to ride those ups and downs. And that's why I say the compounding interest is important to do, and think about it as, hey, save and let your money compound. Don't, like I said, be the gambler, chaser, Wall Street guy, day trader. Put your money in your job's 401k or whatever you have that's going to give you some type of investment, and just let it go there. And I promise you, you will be happy that you were saving your money there. And as well as that 401k, another philosophy of mine is the pay yourself first. And I say the pay yourself first philosophy, so many people have heard it, but I say it's in this way. It's pay yourself first. And that's because I ask people, and the philosophy as, who on this planet is gonna pay you? You get paid from an employer, but who is gonna save for you in your retirement? Your employer's not going to. You need to. And that's where, and if you want me to get nerdy and such about it, but retirement accounts, 401ks, and all of that stuff exists so that every American can get a chance in the stock market, because it's our country. We help these things run. So we should get a chance to get in that investment, because the S&P 500 is the things that work, like Meta, Walmart, all those. If you use anything in America, you're probably contributing to those things. And that's why they say, hey, get involved in this and get in the stock market, which is why we're all given 401ks and such. But those things, and I say 401ks, it's deferred compensation plans. Everyone has a different one. The 401k is just the most popular that most people have. But realistically, in the 80s, they realized that we weren't a coal mining oil country anymore. Before that, then you worked till you were in your 50s, died in your 60s, and you got a pension, and that pension lasted from your 50s to your 60s. The death age nowadays is 87, 83. We are living pretty long, and we're only going to live longer. The government did not, and not the government, jobs did not want to pay people's pensions, them living that long. In the 80s, they created compensation plans for retirement, and then it became up to every American to save for retirement. And guess what? You think they know? No one's going to save for themselves unless you're told to, and no one's going to make you. So if you do not pay yourself first, no one's going to save for your retirement other than you. And 55% of Americans right now have little to no retirement and don't even know where to start. So that's why I tell people, do what you can, start, but pay yourself first, because nobody is going to pay you other than you. So once you get that budget together, be able to know how much you can save that X amount, put that into your retirement, put that into planned savings, high yield savings, all these things that are going to grow your money. Because in my industry, we call it mattress money. And that's money that's sitting around not doing nothing. That's basically like your bank accounts. When you see those checking accounts go up 1 penny and such, you're not really making any money. When you have $100,000 under your mattress, when you go look at it in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, how much money is it going to be? 100 grand. That's mattress money. That's money that's not working for you. In life, I'm sure most people's goal is that you're money should be working for you. You shouldn't be working for your money. So that's when I say, like I said, put that in places to start growing, because you don't want to just have mattress money, as well as you want to plan for you and your family so that you have things for yourself and for your family. And that's when I'll go into Proverbs 13:22, which is a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of a sinner is stored up with righteousness. And that is to say that your life, you should be building for something. And even once you build for your life, you should want to pass the things you got on your life to your loved ones. In this instance of 13:22 is your children's children. So give an inheritance to your children, whether it's your business, love, not trauma, things that will help them.
I love that you stuck that in there. Like, yeah. No, it's so true.
Because that is one of the things that get passed down. That whole scripture, people look at it as just a financial aspect, such as my industry, passing down an inheritance, but it is also passing down the work of God, beliefs, those things to your children, so that they have them and can have your family have generational wealth. And it's saying the wealth stored up is self-righteous, is because why, this is when people would say like the billionaires and such, but why have all this money, die with it, and then can't do anything with it? Give it to your kids, pass it on to your family for generational wealth. And the aspect of not money, it's the ways of life. So to pretend that you self-righteous is to think that you every day is here, you have the next day. Everyone is not guaranteed the next day. It's self-righteous to think you are guaranteed the next day. That's, as I said earlier, it is the present because it is the gift. You have a gift to be here, and you should appreciate it. So I say that in the way of, in the moment, experience what you're experiencing. That is the life, that is the gift. But when it comes to self-righteousness, then you have to know that that day will not always be here, and you have to be prepared to pass on the things to your kin. And that, like I said, Proverbs 30:22 is big in what I use a lot, even in my industry, but even just personally, because like I said, I don't have kids yet, but I think of how I can create a lineage, and not for the name of myself, but to be just giving the people and my kin that I love the tools for the life after me. As you said, like death, you realize, how many souls did I touch? That's when you will learn, and you can be in heaven and see the life that your kids are having. And then after they have their life, you can, and so on, generations, meeting your kids, grandkids, and so on and so on. So I say that in the, like I said, Proverbs 13:22, because so many people think that that is just the financial side. It is. You do want to leave an inheritance, which is, like I said, what I help people with, but also is the spirituality, religion, tools just for life. So those were the things I wanted to, at least, like I said, touch on at least here. I want you to get your question though still.
Yeah. So before we get to the question, if somebody was listening along and they're like, man, that KB guy is super cool, I vibe with him, I want to connect, and whether that's talking more about New York life, or just to
anything, financial literacy, or
they
be a friend, whatever.
Yeah. How can they get in touch with you? How can they follow along on your journey?
They can follow my journey by, you can get tapped into my social media. You can get tapped into my business page. So my business page is Caleb X Gaither, licensed agent with New York Life. You can find that on Facebook. You can find that on Google. You can literally type in my name and it's gonna find up. I am an agent with New York Life, so it's gonna pop up. If you want to venture into my world, how I talk about money, finances, financial literacy, you'll see me share posts about how you can save, things that can just help you, or maybe just think about things that you maybe didn't know, or just learn things. So you can find that on my social media, which is actually my nickname and baby. So KB Baby, so KBBABY 18. And that's where you can find me on across all social media platforms, and you can find me there. So that's KB Baby 18. And that's to see more clips, more shared things of how you can learn to, like I said, help your family or whatever goals you have. But you can also, like I said, go to my business page, which is Caleb X Gaither, licensed agent with New York Life, on Facebook, on Google, wherever you want to search.
Awesome. So the last question that I normally ask people when they're sitting with me is, when it's all said and done, what do you want the legacy to be when you leave it behind? But I'm changing it for you. What is your Shinobi way?
Oh.
That's right. That's right. That's a good one, right?
Oh, yeah. That is really good. My Shinobi way is my quote, which I already mentioned, but I'm gonna bridge that off. Like I said, life sucks, so you gotta make living great. And for me, my Shinobi way is to love my life, love everyone else here, and to coexist while I'm here and enlighten and educate people. So for me, I want to help people and I want to touch as many souls as I can. So with my Shinobi way, it's love my life, be happy. And if you've ever heard, this is the corny analogy, but everything happens for a reason. But the corny analogy is if you love your family, you can change the world. Because people, I know it's corny, but everyone wants to change the world and try to be on social media, have all these followers, do everything. But I will tell you, if you learn emotional intelligence, that's why that is my biggest thing, emotional intelligence. They don't teach us in school. They teach us all these things before learning yourself. So for me, life is all about learning yourself, learning what you like, why you like it, and what you want to do. And when you do that, then you can excel because you will know what you love and can create happiness for yourself. And then you do all of these things just to get your feet to land on, like I said, this 8-inch or 7-inch wide piece of wood, throwing yourself down things, breaking bones, hurting yourself. Like I said, defying the laws of physics. But as you do that, it's man versus self. And as you're identifying, this is what I mean of the trial and error. Skateboarding is all trial and error. Every single piece of it. And you will not get good until you accept your failures. Look at your failures. Look at what you need to adjust and then do the different thing. So it's, hey, if this is me being a skater, but to do a trick, you have to do physics. You push the board down, it pops down, so then the front part comes up, you slide your foot up, it slides off the grip tape or wood, whichever it is, and that physics is you causing that friction to go that way, then that the board levels out with your back foot. It's all science. The science about it is that to do tricks, every time you flick your foot in a different way, you will do a different trick. You have to learn to do all of these tricks. Then you have to learn to do these tricks down the gaps, down the rails, down the cement, beating yourself up. So you learn it all on the ground first. Then you start doing it down things. And that whole time you're doing it, it's oh, I didn't do it right. Maybe if I put my foot here instead of here and slide this way, or jump this much, or jump this little, or don't add as much force. The whole thing about skating is trial and error and what I can do to do better. So for me, I came from, I say athletics and sports and such, but my first love is skateboarding and skate. So if you love yourself, you can teach your family love. And if your family knows love, then you can change the world. So love yourself, know what you like, teach your family love. And if you love your family, then you can change the world, because obviously your family will be the same ones doing the same things for generations. So that's how you can touch the most souls. Don't gotta be an influencer, don't need 1 million followers. If you love your family, you can change the world.
I love that so much. KB, my guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having
story.
me. I love to be here.
Yeah. And go ahead, check him out on the socials, follow along in his journey. He does amazing things, and they're only going to keep going. And I would say reach out to him.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking in, if you want to learn more about New York life.
Finances, financial literacy, anything.
Yeah.
I'm here to help people with their goals, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And don't be scared. Like I said, I'm here to actually help. And I've, like I said, seen so many situations. So I'm here for everyone and to bridge the gap to whatever goal you have.
Awesome. Been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Crosstalk. I hope today's conversation left you encouraged and reminded you of the power of community and authentic connection. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and let us know what inspires you most. Remember, our community thrives when our local entrepreneurs, ministry leaders, and artists succeed. Until next time, keep showing up, keep dreaming,